Last year I pulled a bowl of fruit off a tree growing in a 5-gallon container on my back patio, and a neighbor told me flat out that wasn't possible. Here's the thing. It's not only possible, it's easier than growing half the vegetables people start with. After years of figuring out what works in small spaces, I put together 10 fruit trees that genuinely thrive in pots, even if you've never grown anything before. I left off the fussy ones on purpose, so every single tree on this list is beginner-proof. We're counting down from number 10 to number 1. And stick around, because around number 3 I'll point you toward the one I wish I'd planted 10 years ago. Here's the thing, I had one rule putting this list together. Every tree had to be self-fertile, or have a self-fertile variety I could point you to. Fruit happily in a 5 to 15-gallon container, shrug off being root-bound, and forgive a little neglect when life gets busy. And it had to survive my Sacramento conditions, hot, dry summers, mild, wet winters, zone 9B. I left off the fussy ones on purpose. No full-size cherries, no growing an avocado from a pit and hoping, nothing that needs a second tree on my patio for pollination or a chill hour count I can't reliably hit. We're counting down from number 10 to number 1. And honestly, this is easier than half the vegetables folks start with. I killed my first 3 tomato plants in a single summer. These trees? You plant once and they just keep going. You don't need a yard, you need a sunny spot. Let's get into it. Number 10, the Calimandan orange. This is the little tree I keep right by my back door, and it's the one I point beginners to first. A Calimandan is happy in a 5-gallon pot, and it fruits almost year-round, so there's nearly always something on it. The fruit itself is sour and tart, more for cooking than eating off the branch. I squeeze it over fish or stir it into a marmalade. Here's the thing that surprised me. It's hardy down to about 28 degrees, so in my Sacramento winters, it just sits out there and shrugs. The first one I owned bloomed and held fruit at the same time, little oranges and white flowers together, and the smell by that door is something I look forward to every single morning. For a tree that asks almost nothing of you, it gives back constantly. But as forgiving as the Calimandan is, the next tree on the list is even tougher in the cold. Number 9, the kumquat, and specifically the Nagami variety. This is the one you eat whole, skin and all. The peel is sweet, and the inside is tart, so you get both in one bite. People are always thrown by that the first time. What earns it a spot here is that it's the cold, hardiest citrus I grow, taking temperatures down to roughly 18 degrees without blinking. The timing is a little backwards from what you'd expect, too. It blooms in summer and ripens its fruit through winter, so when most of the patio has gone quiet, the kumquat is loaded with bright orange fruit. I'll grab a handful on a cold January morning and eat them right there, standing over the pot. In a 5-gallon container, it stays compact and tidy, and it never once made me feel like I was babying it. Now, if cold toughness impressed you, wait until you meet a tree that survives me forgetting to water it. Number 8, the dwarf pomegranate, the variety called Nana. This little thing stays just 2 to 3 feet tall, so it fits anywhere. A balcony rail, a sunny windowsill, a corner of a patio. And it's fast. Mine started setting fruit within a year or two of going into the pot, which, for a fruit tree, is quick. But the real reason it's on this list is the drought tolerance. I have genuinely forgotten to water this plant for a stretch in the middle of a hot Sacramento summer, come back expecting a crispy stick, and found it perfectly fine and still holding fruit. The fruits are smaller than what you buy at the store, more ornamental, but they're real and they're yours. For anyone who's scared they'll kill a tree through neglect, this is the one that forgives almost anything. The pomegranate handles neglect, but the next tree throws in a bonus crop most people don't even know they can eat. Number 7, the pineapple guava, also called feijoa. This one's a quiet overachiever. The flowers are edible. The fleshy petals are sweet, almost like cotton candy, and you can pluck them and snack on them while the fruit is still forming. That's a whole second harvest off the same plant. The fruit ripens later and tells you it's ready by dropping to the ground on its own, so there's no squeezing and guessing. If it's on the ground, it's ripe. It tolerates neglect about as well as anything I grow, which is why I trust it with beginners. And like the tree waiting at number 1, it asks for so little that the hardest part is just being patient enough to let it do its thing. In a 15-gallon pot, it'll reward you for years. That patience pays off even faster with the next one, which can fruit its very first year. Number 6, the dwarf mulberry, the Isai or dwarf everbearing type. This is the instant gratification tree on the list. It can fruit in its first year, which almost no fruit tree does, and that early win is exactly what a nervous beginner needs. I keep mine pruned to 2 or 3 feet so it stays manageable in a pot, and that hard pruning doesn't hurt the fruit one bit. The berries come over a long window, not all at once, so you're grabbing a small handful at a time over weeks rather than drowning in fruit for one frantic weekend. Much like the calamandan at number 10, it tends to have something on it whenever I wander past, and that steady little trickle of food is honestly more useful in a kitchen than one big glut. Sweet, soft, and they never make it inside. I eat them off the branch. Now, the next tree is the one that proves these are genuinely easier than vegetables. Number 5, the genetic dwarf peach, the variety called Bonanza. This is a real peach tree that naturally stays 4 to 6 feet tall, not grafted small, just genetically compact. And it gives you full-size, real peaches off a plant you can keep on a patio. It's self-fertile, so you only need the one tree, and its chill hour needs are modest enough that I can hit them here in Zone 9B. Here's where I'll be honest with you. I killed my first 3 tomato plants in a single summer, fussing over watering and transplant shock, and doing everything wrong. This peach asks for none of that drama. You plant it once, it goes dormant in winter, it leafs out and blooms in spring, and it fruits year after year, without you starting over every single season the way you do with tomatoes. That's the whole argument for fruit trees in a nutshell. Speaking of doing things once and getting it right, the next tree needs you to make one good choice up front. Number 4, the columnar or dwarf apple. These grow narrow and straight up, almost like a green pole, which makes them perfect for a tight patio or a balcony where you've got vertical room but no width. You can line a few against a wall and barely lose any floor space. Now, I have to be straight with you about one thing because I left the fussy ones off this list on purpose. A lot of apples need a second tree nearby for pollination, and I can't fit a second tree out here. So the rule is simple. Choose a self-fruitful variety, one that sets fruit on its own, and you sidestep the whole problem. Get that one choice right at the nursery, and the rest is easy. The apples come in smaller than a supermarket apple, but they taste like an apple should. And there's something deeply satisfying about picking one off a tree skinnier than a broom handle. Now, the next tree is the one a neighbor told me flat out couldn't be done. Number 3, the Meyer lemon. This is the patio classic, and it's the actual tree from the start of this video. The one growing in a 5-gallon container on my back patio that my neighbor swore wasn't possible. I pulled a whole bowl of lemons off it last year, and he just stood there shaking his head. It's self-fertile. It fruits reliably in that modest pot, and a Meyer lemon is sweeter and less harsh than a grocery store lemon, so you can almost eat it like an orange. This is also where I have to keep my promise to you. The tree I wish I'd planted 10 years ago, the one I've been hinting at, is waiting at number 1, and it's not this lemon, as much as I love it. It's something even easier, even cheaper to start, and even more forgiving. I'll get you there in just a minute. But the Meyer earns its spot because it's living proof, sitting on my patio right now, that you don't need a yard to grow fruit. The Meyer lemon convinced my neighbor, but the next tree might be the most surprising one of all in a pot. Number 2, the olive, the variety called Arbequina. Most folks have no idea you can grow an olive in a container and fruit it, but you absolutely can. It's self-fertile, so one tree does the job, and being Mediterranean, it's built for exactly my kind of weather, hot, dry summers and mild, wet winters. It's It's about as drought-tolerant as anything on this list, right up there with the pomegranate. It's also just a beautiful plant, evergreen, with those silvery green leaves that look good on a patio 12 months a year, fruit or no fruit. The arbequina is one of the better choices for containers because it stays smaller and fruits younger than the big orchard types. Curing your own olives takes a little patience, but that's true of the tree at number 1 too. These perennials reward the people willing to wait. Plant it once, and it'll be standing there looking handsome and dropping olives long after this season's vegetables are a memory. Now, if this list is making you realize you've spent years assuming fruit trees need a yard and a budget you just don't have, I want to point you somewhere. The whole how-to behind these potted trees, the cheap containers, the free soil, the deep container method that makes them thrive, lives in Chapter 4 of my book, Container Gardening on Zero Budget. That's the chapter on free 5-gallon buckets and fabric grow bags, free soil you build from compost, and exactly how deep to plant so the roots get going. It even has line art diagrams of the container cross-sections and soil layering. The book's called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. It's $17 over at backyardbuddybooks.com. If you're watching on your TV, grab your phone and point it at the QR code on screen. Phone or laptop, folks, the link's right in the description. Take your time finding it. I'll wait right here. All right, let's get to number 1. And here it is. The one I told you about back at number 3, the tree I wish I'd planted 10 years ago. Number 1, the fig, black mission or brown turkey, either one. Here's the thing about the fig. It is the single easiest, most rewarding container fruit tree I know, and it checks every box I set out at the start. It's self-fertile, so one tree does it. It's about as container happy as a plant gets, and this is the part that surprises people. It actually fruits better when it's root-bound in a pot. The crowded roots tell the tree to put its energy into fruit instead of growing taller. So the thing that kills half of beginner plants is the thing a fig loves. On top of that, it gives you 2 crops a season, an early breba crop on last year's wood, then the main crop later on. And it shrugs off neglect like nothing else on this list. Forget to water it for a stretch, and it just waits for you. Here in my Zone 9B, it overwinters outside with no fuss at all. But here's what really gets me. You don't even have to buy one. A fig grows from a free cutting. You stick a pencil-thick piece of dormant branch in a pot of soil, and most of the time, it just roots and takes off. Free tree. That's the regret I carry. Back in my Portland apartment 10 years ago, a neighbor had a fig dropping fruit over the fence. If I'd snapped off one cutting and stuck it in a bucket on my balcony then, I'd have had a decade of fruit by now. Gloria's been telling me for years, plant the slow things first, because the wait only feels long before you start. She's right. As she'd put it, the fig doesn't ask much of you except patience. And the hardest part of gardening isn't the growing, it's the waiting. The fig is the purest proof of everything I picked this list for. Self-fertile, container-happy, neglect-proof, beginner-proof. From a free cutting. Before I let you go, if that fig from a cutting got your wheels turning, the long game is where this really pays off. Chapter 9, The Long Game, covers growing fruit from cuttings, fig, grape, the whole idea, plus the food forest in containers approach, where one planting feeds you for years instead of one season. It's anchored by Gloria's 20-year balcony system, which is the proof that this works long after the novelty wears off. There's a line art diagram in there for arranging perennial containers for year-round harvest. Honestly, it's the guide I wish I'd had 10 years ago, written for folks who figured they had no space or no money for a garden. It's $17 at backyardbuddybooks.com. If you're on the big screen, point your phone camera at that QR code now. On a phone or laptop, just tap the link below. No rush at all. Go ahead and pull it up, and I'll be right here. So those are the 10 fruit trees that genuinely thrive in a pot. from the calamondin by my back door all the way down to the fig at number 1. Don't try to do all 10. Start with 1 this season. Pick the easiest thing on the list, the fig from a free cutting, or a little calamondin, and just put it in a pot. You'll see what I mean. Drop a note in the comments, and let me know which one you're trying. I read them all. And if you want to get the soil right before you plant, watch my video on cheap container mix next. It's the foundation under everything I showed you today. Until next time, keep growing your own food, my friend.